Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to becoming well-informed. We take sources you're interested in and really pull out the core insights.
And this is designed specifically for you, the learner. Someone who's curious, wants to get knowledge quickly but thoroughly.
Right, you appreciate those aha moments, but don't want to feel like totally overwhelmed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today, our mission is to explore the ideas in Alag Alsadi's The Secret Codes.
Mm.
You've shared excerpts focusing on the subconscious mind, techniques of persuasion.
Yeah, we're going to unpack these secret codes, see what they're all about.
It's fascinating.
The secret codes. I mean, the title alone makes you curious, doesn't it?
It really does.
And what grabbed me right away was Alsadi's own story. He was apparently great at talking about products, could just go on and on.
But couldn't close the deal.
Exactly. He just hit this wall, and it got so frustrating that he actually quit sales entirely for a while.
Wow. That really shows, the gap between just talking and actually persuading, actually connecting.
Totally. And then he has this pivotal moment watching TV, sees a psychologist who just says this bizarre thing, "I have injected your brain with milk."
Which sounds completely random.
Right. But for Alsadi, it was like a light bulb went off. It sparked this intense curiosity about the subconscious mind.
And that sent him down the rabbit hole. He called it this secret science.
Yeah, he just got totally obsessed collecting information, filling up notebooks. You can almost feel his adrenaline rush.
So that excitement of discovery.
Yeah.
And it led him to ask that big question.
Does the subconscious have some kind of hidden power? Can it control our bodies, our qualities?
Our destiny, even. It's a huge question. And you see his dedication, right? He even mentions loving the notebook itself.
Yeah, that level of immersion.
But it wasn't just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. He mentions doing an early experiment with these techniques, something he actually regrets now and warns people not to try.
Right, which immediately tells you, okay, these techniques have real power, but maybe some risks too.
Definitely hints at the practical, maybe even dangerous applications. It suggests that understanding this stuff could unlock real influence.
Which ties into that story he tells, experiment number 1, right? The alpha state strategy.
Yes. So he's in public, sees this glamorous woman, he says, and he decides, okay, I'm going to approach her, but consciously focus on being in this alpha state.
Right, projecting this unwavering confidence. He even talks about his internal monologue, psyching himself up.
Yeah, focusing his internal state before the approach, which suggests, your own mindset is maybe half the battle.
That's a huge takeaway right there. How you feel inside projects outward.
So the interaction is pretty interesting. He goes up, makes eye contact, and she's apparently really surprised, maybe expecting something profound.
Yeah, and then he drops that line, extends his hand.
"I am Al Alsadi. I'm going now to Dubai to have dinner with my friend. Decided to invite you and your friends for a crazy trip."
I mean, talk about bold. Dubai for dinner. It's designed to cut through the usual polite no.
Oh, totally. But then
It didn't quite land perfectly, did it?
no. One of her friends just straight up calls him rude.
Which perfectly illustrates the tricky balance, right?
Yeah.
Confidence versus coming across badly.
Exactly. But I kind of appreciate that he includes this awkward personal story. It makes the whole thing feel more grounded, less theoretical.
It's a great reminder that applying these codes isn't simple. Context matters. And it leads us to ask, why call them secret anyway?
Yeah, he tackles that directly. Why keep this stuff hidden? He gives two main reasons.
Okay, what's the first?
First, he says experts, psychologists, marketers, persuaders, they intentionally kept it quiet to make sure it stays effective.
The magician analogy. Don't reveal the secrets or the magic wears off.
Precisely. If everyone knew how influence worked, maybe it wouldn't work as well.
Makes sense. Keep that element of mystery, that subconscious pull.
And the second reason is, well, pretty practical.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't tell someone, hey, you bought that because I used the instant record code on you.
Right. That would completely break the spell. People would feel manipulated.
Yeah, it undermines the whole subtle influence thing. You want them to feel it, not analyze why they feel it.
Okay, so let's get foundational. The conscious versus the subconscious mind.
Right. Alsadi breaks it down simply. Conscious mind. That's your thinking mind, the one you're aware of using.
And the subconscious.
That handles all the automatic stuff, like driving. You know how you can drive somewhere and suddenly realize you don't remember the last few minutes?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Autopilot. That's the subconscious taking over.
Exactly. It's this division of labor. Conscious mind focuses, subconscious runs the background processes, the habits, the skills.
You give some good examples, too.
Yeah, like reading a book. You're turning pages, but then suddenly, whoops, your mind wandered off. No idea what you just read.
Or nodding along in a conversation. Yeah. But you're actually thinking about what to have for dinner.
Totally. Your conscious mind was busy elsewhere, but the subconscious was still, keeping the nodding going. The key is we process multiple things, but our focus is limited.
That parallel processing is amazing. Even when we're focused here, the subconscious is still taking stuff in back there, often without us knowing.
But he does point out our consciousness isn't just like sleeping, it's observing, analyzing. But it has that big limitation.
Which
It
is,
can really only focus properly on one thing at a time, trying to listen to two people talking at once. Almost impossible.
yeah, that focus bottleneck.
Yeah.
That's why persuasion often targets the subconscious, right? Get past the busy conscious guard dog.
Exactly. He uses the phone number example. Try memorizing, say, 0590972 while you're reading this article.
Okay.
The second you shift focus to the number, you stop reading, right? You can't really do both effectively.
Right. Your focus has to switch.
And imagine if someone next to you was reading out another number loudly, even harder to concentrate on yours. Really shows that limit.
So that limitation creates an opening for influence when our attention is elsewhere.
And think about our senses, just constantly bombarding us with information. Sight, sound, touch.
That's a lot.
So the conscious mind, because it works kind of sequentially, it has to prioritize. It picks one thing to focus on, maybe the conversation you're having in a noisy cafe, and filters out the rest.
Well, the subconscious is maybe picking up on all that background noise, the music, the vibe.
Exactly. It absorbs a much wider range, things we don't consciously register.
So if the conscious mind is limited, what about the subconscious? How powerful is it?
Well, according to Alsadi, citing scientists, it can handle thousands, maybe even millions of pieces of information simultaneously.
Millions. That's staggering compared to the conscious one thing at a time.
Right. He calls it like a personal flash drive with basically unlimited storage. That's the core idea. Immense processing power versus our narrow conscious focus.
Parallel processing versus linear processing. It takes in the whole scene at once.
And this is where it gets really cool. He says the subconscious grasps the whole context of a situation, working under the radar. He uses a handshake picture as an example.
Okay, so consciously.
Consciously, you just see two hands shaking, simple gesture.
But subconsciously.
The subconscious is picking up way more. It's signaling cooperation, maybe agreement, partnership, maybe even subtle power stuff depending on the grip.
And how it interprets that depends on what's already stored down there, your past experiences with handshakes.
Exactly. But the key is the whole picture, all those nuances, get stored subconsciously, even if consciously you just thought, oh, a handshake.
That holistic processing is vital. It's picking up subtle cues, firmness, duration, and fitting them into your existing mental framework, often without you realizing it's doing that deep analysis.
Which leads right into advertising, how ads target both minds.
Makes sense.
He brings up AT&T ads. You know, the ones with imagery that kind of subtly suggests strong, wide network coverage, like visuals of seamless connections, vast webs.
Okay, yeah. So consciously, maybe you just see nice visuals.
Right. But subconsciously, you might be associating AT&T with reliability, reach, things just working smoothly. Good advertising often hits both levels.
It's working on your awareness and below it.
He asks us, think about other ads like that, where the message isn't just spelled out, but these little code signals are embedded in short videos.
And then he asks,
Is it just coincidence? Makes you really start looking at ads differently, doesn't it? How intentional are those details?
it definitely raises that question. How much is crafted specifically to tap into our subconscious?
Then Alsadi makes this really important point.
Right.
The subconscious as a storage place isn't the same as conscious memory.
How so?
It operates below our awareness, right? But it holds everything. All our memories, images, sounds, experiences, even stuff we've consciously forgotten.
Wow. So our past, even the forgotten bits, is still down there influencing us.
That's the idea. It shapes our current reactions in ways we don't even realize.
That's profound. That inaccessible reservoir influencing our decisions.
He even throws in a bit about dreams. Speculates maybe dreams are a way the subconscious processes information. Like, recurring dreams might signal something deeper trying to surface.
Interesting. The dream-subconscious link is definitely a complex area, but the idea of dreams reflecting subconscious processing is fascinating.
Okay, so now he shifts gears a bit. Starts talking about fundamental human desires and how they're used in persuasion.
The core drivers.
First one up, the desire for reproduction, or, sex.
A powerful one.
He calls it one of the most powerful drivers, period. Points out how giant companies constantly use sexual imagery in ads, in sales. It taps into something primal.
You definitely see it everywhere. It clearly works as a motivator. It's tapping into that basic biological drive.
He argues biologically, our genes just want to multiply. Men driven to distribute genes, women driven towards bearing children. A lot of our behavior, he says, boils down to this drive. Compares it to needing food or safety.
It's that fundamental.
And he actually teases a whole chapter later on about hidden sexual messages in media and how it's kind of turned generations into consumers driven by this instinct.
That sounds like a deep dive in itself, really looking at how advertising manipulates these core drives.
Next, he talks about the desire for making a family and having children.
Which is related, but slightly different.
Yeah, he notes some see it as about stability, others link it back to reproduction. He also points out how historically sex was mostly for procreation, but now it's often seen as separate, a physical and psychological thing.
But that core desire for family, connection, legacy, that remains a powerful human need.
Definitely. Then there's the desire for authority.
Wanting to be in charge or respected.
Both, really. He says we have this innate desire to be leaders, to be heard, respected. He even suggests the media has become a major source of authority we tend to just accept.
The media as an authority figure. That's an interesting take in today's world.
And he clarifies it's not absolute. We might follow in one situation, lead in another, like a preacher, a writer, a police officer, all seeking authority in their own way.
Different contexts, different roles.
But he also suggests the subconscious is kind of insatiable here, always wanting more money, more status, more stuff. He links greed to this drive for power.
And even conflict.
Yeah, even wars, he says, can be seen as a search for power and influence. And then he asks a key question. How do you appeal to this desire when selling or persuading?
How do you frame things so they tap into that need for status or control? That's a critical question for persuasion.
Okay, moving on. Desire for independency.
The flip side of wanting to belong.
Exactly. We want to be part of the group, but also need our own autonomy. Personal freedom, thinking for ourselves. He asks us to think about our own need for independence and how that might show up in customers.
That tension between connection and freedom is fundamental, isn't it? Persuasion often has to navigate that, offer something that allows both.
Then the desire for saving.
Planning for the future versus living in the now.
Right. He contrasts those two mindsets. Savers might see spenders as wasteful. Spenders might see savers as missing out. He just kind of prompts you to think, where do you fall on that spectrum?
Because understanding someone's time orientation, present focus versus future focus, is crucial for persuading them, especially about money or long-term stuff.
Definitely. Okay, now he introduces some laws. First is the law of association.
Sounds important. What is it?
Simply put, we are heavily influenced, even determined, by the people we associate with most closely. Friends, family, our social circle shapes us.
That makes intuitive sense. You tend to adopt the attitudes and behaviors of your group.
He really stresses surrounding yourself with positive, ambitious people. Even suggests maybe temporarily distancing from negative influences to kind of cultivate your own positivity.
So actively curating your environment.
Yeah, but not cutting people off forever. Maybe reconnect later when you're stronger, possibly help them. It's about proactive environment shaping.
Taking control of the influences around you.
Yeah.
Got it. What's the next law?
The law of replacement. This is about changing information in the subconscious.
Okay, how does that work?
He says the subconscious doesn't have like a delete button. You can only replace information. So if you're shy, telling yourself, I'm not shy, isn't very effective.
Why not?
Because the subconscious struggles with negatives. It tends to focus on the core word shy.
Oh.
If you replace it with the positive opposite, I am social, you actively install the desired belief.
That's a key principle in things like cognitive behavioral therapy too, right? Focusing on the positive affirmation.
Exactly. He uses the example, do not drive recklessly. Your subconscious might just latch on to reckless driving, so better to focus on drive safely.
Focus on what you want, not what you don't want.
Right. And he stresses you need repetition. You have to keep feeding these positive replacements into your subconscious for them to stick.
Makes sense. It takes time to overwrite old patterns.
And then he connects it all back. Mastering your own mind, using these laws on yourself, is the essential first step before you can effectively influence others.
You need self-awareness and self-control first. You can't control others if you can't control yourself.
He really hammers this home. Says you need to read these concepts, think about them, explain them, really internalize them for maybe a week before trying to apply them outwardly.
That groundwork is crucial. Understand yourself before trying to understand or influence others. It's about ethical and effective persuasion starting from within.
All right, let's dive into the actual codes. Code number 1, the community group law.
Okay, what's the principle here?
Basically, we tend to like and trust products, services, ideas that come from people we already like and respect.
Social proof, essentially, like recommendations from friends.
Exactly. You're way more likely to try that new restaurant if your foodie friend raves about it, right? It leverages trust.
Taps into our social nature. We trust our tribe.
So Alsadi flips it around. If you were the product, how could you get a trusted friend of your target customer to introduce you or vouch for you?
So leveraging those existing relationships, third-party endorsements, referrals, word of mouth.
That's the core idea. Use the power of the group.
Makes sense? What else does he say about beliefs?
He lays out 5 key facts about how people form beliefs, which are pretty interesting for persuasion.
Okay, let's hear them.
1, the questions you ask someone can actually shape the ideas that pop into their head.
So framing is key.
Yeah. 2, people's initial thoughts are often just spontaneous reactions, not deeply held convictions or good predictors of future behavior.
So first impressions or thoughts aren't always reliable indicators.
Right. 3, most people, he says, a large majority, tend to act spontaneously based on suggestions they receive.
Susceptible to suggestion. That seems important.
Definitely. The core idea is that our thoughts and actions can be more malleable, more influenced by subtle cues than we might think.
So suggestions can bypass deep thinking sometimes.
Seems to be the implication. He gives examples like, your friends will love this car, or your husband will be so happy when he sees you in this.
Painting that picture of positive social outcomes, tapping into the desire for approval.
Exactly. And that leads him to categorize people, broadly speaking, 2 main types. About 85% who are primarily motivated by seeking harmony, fitting in, getting community acceptance.
The group-oriented majority.
And then about 15% who are less concerned with what others think, the rebel group, he calls them.
Okay, so how do you approach these different groups?
For the 85%, you emphasize how your idea or product aligns with the group, how others like them or happy with it. You stress community acceptance.
Appeal to their need to belong.
But for the 15%, you focus on how it offers independence, how it sets them apart, how it allows them to be unique.
Appeal to their desire for autonomy. Makes sense. Tailor the message to the core motivation.
Absolutely critical. Understand who you're talking to.
What else is key in positioning?
Differentiation. He says it's crucial. You have to explain the huge difference between you and whoever they saw before.
Even if the product is similar.
Especially then, you have to position yourself or your specific offer as unique as better. Stand out from the crowd.
Create that unique value proposition. Don't just be another commodity.
Exactly. Okay, next topic. Different time perspectives.
We touched on this with saving versus spending.
Right. He elaborates. Some people live mainly in the present. They make decisions based on how they feel right now. Their motto might be, if it feels good, do it. Less focused on long-term planning.
So for them, you emphasize immediate benefits, feelings, current gratification.
And then others are future-oriented, always planning, thinking about consequences down the road.
With them, you need to focus on long-term value, security, addressing potential future risks or gains.
Precisely. Understanding their time focus helps you frame your message in a way that resonates.
Crucial framing element. What about nonverbal communication?
Huge. Body language. He stresses its importance. Gives examples. Leaning back might show disinterest.
Okay.
Bending back slightly could mean amusement or skepticism. Head down, slow walking, can suggest anxiety or lack of confidence.
So our bodies are constantly sending signals.
Louder than words sometimes. The takeaway is, if you want to persuade, you need to understand body language, read others, and crucially, control your own.
Become aware of the messages you're sending non-verbally.
Yeah.
And manage them consciously.
Exactly. Self-awareness and control.
So building on that, he talks about the characteristics of an ALPHA person in persuasion.
Yeah, this is a big section. Starts with looks or glances.
How you use your eyes.
Right. Direct eye contact, but don't stare them down. Look forward, maybe with a slight upward head tilt suggests ambition. Avoid looking down, signals low confidence, or too far up can seem arrogant.
Projecting confidence through your gaze.
Okay. Then talking speed. He says talking too fast often indicates tension or nervousness.
So slow down.
Moderately slow, yeah. Around 125, 150 words per minute. It conveys control, calmness, authority. No need to rush if you're confident.
A deliberate pace suggests command. Makes sense. What about sitting?
Posture matters. For men, he suggests spreading legs slightly can convey power subtly. For women, legs closer, straight back, chest slightly forward, shoulders engaged but relaxed projects control.
Interesting gender specifics there, reflecting maybe traditional cues.
Seems like it. He also advises against men habitually crossing one leg way over the other. The point is, your posture sends subconscious signals about power or control.
Okay, and claiming power.
This is about demeanor. An ALPHA, he says, stays quiet under pressure. Doesn't manufacture drama for attention. That's a beta trait, he argues.
So calm control.
Yeah. In a conflict, initial quietness can be disarming, but they're ready to assert themselves strongly if needed, which can have a psychological impact. It's about quiet strength, controlled action, not loud bluster.
Inner security rather than needing external validation. Got it.
Next up, imagination and visualization.
The power of the mind's eye.
Totally. He shares his own childhood stories, fantasizing about success, leadership, even imagining specific conversations. He believes this subconscious character creation helped his confidence later, like in his first job interview.
So mentally rehearsing success can actually build real-world confidence.
That's the idea. Your imagination can literally shape your self-belief and how you show up.
Powerful stuff.
And that connects directly to talking to yourself positively.
Positive affirmations.
Yes. He says even if it's not true yet, consistent positive self-talk convinces your subconscious. Why? Because the subconscious tends to just absorb info without analyzing it too much.
It takes things kind of literally.
And the struggles with negatives. Remember the law of replacement. Don't say I'm not nervous. Say I am confident. Rephrase negatives into positives.
I do it repeatedly.
Constantly. It's like programming your internal dialogue to support you, not undermine you.
Makes sense. Practice makes permanent.
He even gives practical visualization exercises, like vividly imagine yourself being treated as a VIP guest at a hotel or delivering a captivating speech. Really immerse yourself in the feeling.
Priming the subconscious for those desired scenarios. Creating the mental blueprint.
Exactly. Then he throws in a really intense one, the deathbed scenario.
Ooh, sounds grim.
It is. Imagine yourself at the end of your life, full of regret for things you didn't do. The idea is to use that potential future pain as a powerful motivator to take action now.
Leveraging fear of regret. A strong motivator, for sure, a bit dark.
Definitely strong. Okay, shifting to external factors. The charisma code, focusing on appearance.
How you look matters.
Yes. Clothing. Aim for moderate style within social norms. Nothing too flashy or weird. He quotes, eat what you like and wear and dress what others like.
So blend in to some extent. Fit social expectations to make a good first impression.
Kind of. But then he adds the 10% better rule.
10% better.
Aim to dress just slightly better than the expected norm for that situation. It makes you stand out positively, subtly enhancing perceived status, that alpha state.
So not blending in completely, but a subtle upgrade. Like a tie if others just wear suits, or a nicer shirt with jeans if others are in t-shirts.
Exactly. Stand out, but appropriately.
What about details? Jewelry, nails.
Details matter. Men's jewelry. Simple silver ring if married. Gold might signal softness, he suggests. Nails. For women, short, clean, well-kept. Avoid bright colors, especially bright red. He links it to negative stereotypes. Men. Trimmed. Clean, his point. Persuasion experts have clean, attractive hands. It shows care, professionalism.
Attention to grooming signals self-respect and attention to detail. Got it. Glasses.
Avoid if possible, he says. They can be a barrier. Contacts or vision correction preferred. If needed, smaller, frameless styles are better than big, colored frames. Accept appropriate sunglasses. And don't wear sunglasses inside just to look cool.
Keep that eye contact clear for connection. Okay. Hygiene, perfume.
Hygiene. Crucial. Always be clean, smell fresh. Unscented deodorant recommended. Perfume. Tricky. Best avoided in initial business meetings. Allergies, dislikes. Informal settings. Lighter scents in summer, maybe warmer in winter. Women should be cautious with strong scents to maintain professionalism. Basically, subtle cleanliness trumps strong fragrance.
Consideration for others is key there.
Body. Maintain a healthy weight. Extreme thinness without medical cause might suggest weakness. Obesity might suggest lack of self-control, a beta trait, he says. And LFA controls diet, exercises daily. He flat out says persuasion and obesity is an impossible combination.
Wow, quite blunt. Linking physical self-control to perceived competence.
Very direct. Okay, handshakes. Handshake codes.
More codes.
3 main types. Dominant, your palm faces down. Submissive or agreeable, your palm faces up. Equality, palms vertical. Even that brief touch conveys subtle power dynamics.
So much information in a simple gesture.
And he notes an exception. If a woman chooses not to shake hands for personal religious beliefs, respecting that boundary, or her asserting it calmly, can actually be seen as an LFA trait upholding values. He mentions a specific way for women to decline politely while maintaining presence.
Acknowledging cultural nuances and personal boundaries as a sign of self-assuredness. Interesting.
Now, space. Internal space code. Physical distance.
Proxemics. How close is too close?
He outlines zones. Intimate, 15 to 45 centimeters, only for very close people. Strangers entering triggers fight or flight. Personal, 45 centimeters, 1.22 meters for friends, acquaintances. Social, 1.22 meters, 3.6 meter. Formal interactions, strangers. Public, over 3.6 meter. Public speaking. You need to adjust your distance based on the relationship and goal. Respecting space builds rapport.
Understanding those invisible boundaries is crucial for comfort and trust.
Then there's spatial dimension using the environment. He introduces the ex-wife strategy.
Sounds intriguing. What is it?
For exes, or people you want to subtly show disinterest towards, even if you are interested, arrive slightly late, never on time or early. It suggests you're not overly eager, shifts a bit of power.
Using time to manipulate perception.
Yeah, but he warns, don't use it with strangers, damages credibility. But if the other person is trying to be dominant, making them wait can bring them into your frame. Use with caution.
A subtle power play in specific contexts.
He also mentions the preferred customer strategy. Frequent a place, cafe, restaurant, become known, get treated better. Enhances your feeling of power there.
Leveraging familiarity for better service and maybe a confidence boost.
And finally, suitable seat for persuasion. Where you sit matters.
At a table.
Rectangular table, head seat authority, side-by-side cooperation. Opposite ends, distance, potential conflict. Round or square tables, better for general chat, cooperation, especially same-gender friends. He even has specific okay or good seating positions for mixed-gender friends in cafes, avoiding direct opposition. The layout influences the dynamic.
Wow, really detailed thinking about the physical setup affecting the psychological interaction.
Absolutely. Okay, next big one, the questions code.
The power of asking the right questions.
Exactly. Ask smart questions to understand their values, how they think, what makes them tick emotionally. You have to know what matters to them before you try to persuade them of anything.
Understand first, then persuade.
Yeah.
Seems fundamental.
Which leads right into the values code. Super important, he stresses.
What are they really after?
You got it. What do they truly want? A house, that dress, a promotion. If you don't know their core desires, you'll fail. He breaks values into 2 types.
Which are?
Towards values. Things people want to move towards: happiness, love, success, recognition.
The positive goal.
And away from values. Things people want to move away from: pain, sadness, failure, rejection, hassle.
The things they want to avoid. Understanding both is key.
Crucial. He gives an example. A chat with Sarah, using questions to uncover her ideal evening, isn't about wild parties, but about calmness, quiet enjoyment, her towards value in that context.
Demonstrating how targeted questions reveal those underlying preferences.
Okay, now tailoring communication to personality types. First, the boss.
Decisive, action-oriented.
Yep. Respect their time, be brief, focus on results, bottom line, benefits. Give them 2 clear options to choose from. Efficiency and choice are key.
Get straight to the point. Don't waste their time.
He even suggests a tactic for getting past gatekeepers, like a secretary, to reach a busy boss. A direct, brief, slightly angled introduction that shows respect for their time, but also subtly signals your own importance.
Assertive but respectful bypass. Okay, what about the opposite type?
The analytical. Logical, detail lovers, perfectionists, good with numbers. They think things through, need evidence, slow to decide.
So how to convince them?
Patience. Provide lots of logical details, proof, data, give them time to think, be ready for deep questions. Avoid vague sales hype, backup claims with specifics, exact cost savings, for example. Don't pressure them. Explicitly say, maybe you need some time to think this over.
To respect for their process, give them the data they crave.
He says they can be the toughest initially. Suggests building rapport, even friendship first. Subtly reinforce they're making a good decision. Let them feel in control.
Hmm.
A quick yes pressured out might lose them long term. Logic, evidence, patience. That's the way.
Build trust through competence in data. Got it. Challenging, but maybe very loyal once convinced.
Exactly. Not. Next, the eyes code.
More I stuff. Windows to the soul or subconscious?
Both. Practice looking into people's eyes briefly during conversation, naturally. Practice in a mirror, record yourself. Then, the pupils.
What about them?
They dilate, get bigger with admiration, interest, emotional response. They constrict, get smaller with dissatisfaction, lack of attention. Changes can even hint at lying when someone's telling a story. Pay attention to those subtle shifts.
Eyes really do communicate a lot, even involuntarily.
Okay, now the instant rapport code. How to connect quickly.
Building that initial bridge.
He says that first impression charisma, ALPHA state, body language counts for a lot, maybe 30–40% of initial rapport, uses the example of an attractive woman maybe getting out of a ticket easier than someone less confident.
First impressions are powerful, unfair as it might sometimes seem.
He defines rapport as that feeling of harmony, common ground, shared feeling, where time flies. How to build it, especially for friendship and deeper connections.
What's the key?
Genuine care. Show respect, sincere interest in the other person. Listen actively. Being LFEA doesn't mean being aloof. It means being engaged, enjoying what others say, even seemingly small things. Empathy and listening are fundamental.
Authenticity matters for real connection.
Another technique, find the common enemy.
Shared dislike creates bonding.
It can. Finding something you both oppose creates an instant us versus them connection. He suggests positioning a competitor as the common challenge with a client, for instance. Shared opposition builds unity.
Clever use of social dynamics. What else?
Mirroring. Subtly matching their body language, tone, even breathing rhythm. Creates subconscious connection. Needs practice to be smooth, not creepy. Start with friends.
Creates that feeling of being in sync subconsciously.
Also, ending on a positive note. Associate yourself with good feelings. Ask about weekend plans during the closing handshake. Leave them with a pleasant thought. The last impression lingers.
Recency effect. And strong and positive.
And finally, the open-end strategy, especially for new relationships like dating. End the interaction hinting at future good times. I've got a surprise for you next time. Creates anticipation, keeps them thinking about you.
Building anticipation strengthens the desire for the next interaction.
Okay, quick summary now of 6 key messages often used in ads and persuasion. Ready?
Lay it on me.
1. What you have isn't good enough. You can be better. Appeals to aspiration, dissatisfaction.
Okay.
2. This product helped others like you. Social proof.
Mhm.
3. Try it now. Nothing to lose. Reduces risk.
Got it.
4. Others will respect, admire you more. Appeals to status acceptance. 5. Imagine your future success happiness with this. Future pacing. Benefits.
Okay.
6. This is 100% guaranteed. Removes risk, builds trust. These tap right into common desires and fears.
A checklist of persuasive triggers, really.
And he lists 8 basic desires feels that persuasion often targets. Preserving life, lack of confidence, body image issues, future worries, rejection fear, fear of illness, death, pain, uncertainty about value, desire for instant gratification, and needing to look good to others.
Well, that covers a lot of the human condition right there.
Yeah.
Understanding those is like having a map of motivation.
Exactly. Now, the speech engineering code.
Designing your message deliberately.
Yes. Marketers follow principles to get that yes, it's strategic, like reframing negatives positively.
Give an example.
A wife wants dinner out. Instead of complaining, we're always so busy, she could reframe it to appeal to his desire for positive feelings or avoiding regret. Wouldn't it be nice to relax together tonight? We'll be glad we made the time.
Focus on the positive outcome, not the negative problem.
Smart. He talks about painting a vivid picture with positive feelings, distancing from pain. Understand their problem, position your thing as the solution leading to good feelings. Use a wondrous question to sum it up.
Focus on the solution and the positive emotional payoff.
And 5 quick ways to get agreement. 1. Nod while talking. 2. Ask easy yes questions, right? 3. Use tag questions, isn't it? 4. Put tags at the end of your main idea. 5. Subtly expect and imply agreement. These little things encourage alignment.
Small nudges towards yes.
Also, know your audience's information level. Don't bore experts with basics, give them technical details, tailor the depth.
Respect their knowledge and time. Efficient communication.
And the consultant strategy. Position yourself as an advisor, not just a seller. Use sales consultant on your business card. Builds authority.
Shift the frame from selling to advising. Enhances credibility.
Now for the magic words. The secret words code.
Ooh, secret words.
Number 1, the person's name, most important word. Use it beginning, middle, end. Shows you see them, creates connection.
Makes people feel acknowledged.
Yes.
Simple but powerful.
Number 2, please. Basic politeness. Try asking without it versus with it. Big difference in cooperation.
Politeness greases the wheels.
Number 3, because. Surprisingly powerful. Even a weak reason works. He cites the Xerox study. Can I cut in line because I need to make copies? Worked way better than just asking, even though the reason was obvious. Use because often.
It triggers that reason-needed part of our brain, even if the reason isn't great. Fascinating.
Okay, getting into deeper territory. The covert hypnosis code.
Sounds intense. Speaking to the subconscious directly.
Yeah, under the radar. Bypassing conscious resistance. He warns, use ethically. Gives an example of Rana subtly influencing her husband, Adele, for dinner, out by embedding commands without directly asking.
Wow. How does that work?
Using supportive lead-ins followed by hidden suggestions, like, wouldn't you like to consider stopping smoking? Or, you may not have realized yet how relaxing this will be. These phrases can slip suggestions past the conscious filter.
Planting seeds in the subconscious.
He also mentions using confusion, telling a slightly complex story, to momentarily overload the conscious mind, making it more receptive to embedded suggestions within the story.
Distract the guard dog while you slip the message in. Needs skill and ethical grounding.
Definitely. Then anchoring, linking feelings to triggers.
Like Pavlov's dogs, bell equals food.
Exactly. Link a desired feeling, confidence, excitement, to a specific gesture, word, or even a location in the room. Then using that trigger later brings back the feeling.
Creating emotional shortcuts.
He mentions techniques like briefly leaving a mental state and returning to deepen it, or moving around a room to anchor different ideas or emotions to different physical spots during a presentation.
Using space and actions to create emotional associations. Very strategic.
Finally, subliminal messages. Hidden messages below conscious awareness.
The really hidden stuff. Does it work?
He mentions its history in 1950s ads, used in shops with subtle audio to reduce theft. Don't steal. Notes the prevalent, often unethical embedding of the word Sussex in media because it hits that basic instinct powerfully. Its effectiveness is debated, but the attempt to influence subconsciously is there.
A controversial area, for sure. Targeting below awareness raises big ethical questions.
Well, that really was a deep dive into the secret codes. It's kind of amazing how many layers there are to persuasion and understanding the subconscious.
Absolutely. I think the big takeaways for you, the learner, are just recognizing that constant dance between the conscious and subconscious mind.
Yeah, realizing it's always happening.
And understanding how much our basic human desires and fears drive our behavior and how these techniques tap into those. Plus, the ethical side is always there.
For sure. And this is really just scratching the surface, isn't it? There's so much more in the full book and in this whole field.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's a huge area. So maybe a final thought for you to chew on. Pick just one idea from today. Maybe it's the power of positive self-talk, or the because justification, or noticing body language, and just observe. See if you notice it in your own day, in ads and conversations.
Become more aware of these subtle forces around us.
Exactly. Just start noticing the secret codes in plain sight.
Great final thought. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you some valuable insights to think about.